Shalom, family.
Shalom.
And welcome to another new moon. According to Yahweh's calendar, it's a new month, not according to the heathen's calendar. And for all of y'all who stuck around, it's been a long day, but it's been a wonderful day. We had class, and then we had 2 baptisms after class. So for some visitors, they got a complete thrown into what we go through every Sabbath. It's not a class after, but usually there's a class after. So I'm sure y'all got into some conversation and understand when we say the class after the class. Because, then you get to fellowship and congregate and, pass different ideas. So, hey, Yahweh be praised for it being a wonderful day. And congratulations to the baptismal candidates. Congratulations, newborns. All right, tonight's sermon is entitled, Your Spiritual Source. This is coming on the tail end of a conversation I've heard where, our people get back and forth into these things of, our people do this and our people do that. But to me, once you get understanding of who we really are, we can go through this book and see that Yahweh said, I'm going to leave these nations around to prove you. We went over some of this in class earlier today about what the heathen were off into and what Yahweh said, hey, this is what's causing them to get kicked out the land that they currently possess. But here we are, there's people, our people, still holding on to a lot of these practices, not understanding that these are not our original practices. We still holding on to the things of the heathen. So tonight, let's begin in Ephesians chapter 6. And we're going to read verses 10 through 12.
Ephesians chapter 6, verses 10. Finally, my brethren, be strong in Yahweh, in the power of his might. Put the whole armor of Elohim, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil.
Put on the whole armor of Elohim, that you may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. In order to get that armor is being built by what we're learning out of these scriptures. There's no physical armor for us to go put on. The armors, as we're coming in here and we're growing, Sabbath after Sabbath, new moon after new moon, even when you call in on Bible study with the questions. If you pull Priest Esaac aside to ask a question to get better understanding, that's how you're building the pieces of your armor for better protection. Go ahead.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places.
I've recently been meditating on something. What it's going to be like to get spiritual minded, to get to that level where the things of this world just doesn't bother you. We hear of sighing and crying for the abominations that be done here. But there's certain levels that we have to get past as fleshly people. And when I say those levels is something as simple as road rage. Are we keeping a track of how many people are being killed by road rage? As individuals, we're going to have to be able to rise to a spiritual level to be able to dismiss situations such as that. Overlook foolishness and keep on going. My brother, go ahead and read the definition for spiritual for me, please.
Spiritual, H8668. Teshua, from H7768, in the sense of H3467. Rescue, literally or figuratively, personal, national, or spiritual. Deliverance, help, safety, salvation, victory.
So tonight's title, Your Spiritual Source. So where are you tapping in for your deliverance, for your help, for your safety, your salvation, to gain victory in the end? Some people want to say, hey, I'm Muslim, so I'm looking over here at this person. I got Allah. In the opening slide, you saw all the different little people that our people are caught off into. I made sure I put it all in there, the main groups of what our people are caught off into. Our people are off into Buddhism. We learned that from Tina Turner, didn't we? Watching that movie. But if certain things aren't placed in front of us, we wouldn't be paying attention to these things. Our people are heavy off into the Masonic stuff. But what truly are you tapping into for your spirituality? What is your source? We got to stop and think about what we put as precedence before Yahweh. Some people's spirituality lies in their pocket, how much money they got. I thank Yahweh that He's put me in a position where He gives me not too much that I forget Him, and not too little that I got to do anything deceitful. He keeps me right on that balance and keeps showing me that, no, you have to depend on me. I make things possible. You can't do this on your own. And I'm thankful for that. And I want to stay in that situation. At least I become complacent and say, my hands got me this. Let's go to Exodus chapter 4. I mean, in the same token, you got other people doing seances and other people and going to see, the palm reader trying to figure out what their future is going to be like. Hey, have at it. I'll keep going to my scriptures. Exodus chapter 4, we're going to read verses 1 through 4.
And Moshe answered and said, But, behold, they will not believe me, nor hearken unto my voice. For they will say, Yahweh hath not appeared unto thee. And Yahweh said unto him, What is that in thine hand? And he said, A rod. And he said, Cast it on the ground. And he cast it on the ground, and it became a serpent. And Moshe fled from before it. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Put forth thy hand, and take it by the tail. And he put forth his hand, and caught it, and he became a rod in his hand.
And this is where a lot of us are stuck at. Because we don't have these signs to show to somebody when we're talking to them, we feel like the word that we're speaking doesn't have any relevance or power because we're outnumbered by the Jesus freaks. Well, we got to stand boldly on what we know. Yeah, we can't show those signs right now. You sit back long enough, though, you'll see things happening to people. They won't understand, but you will understand what's going on. This isn't time to show and prove. The only thing you have to prove is that I'm going to stay on this path and I'm going to keep walking this walk. That's the best thing I can show you. I'm not here to convince you of nothing else. My deeds are going to show you where my spiritual source lies. Let's jump to chapter 7. You got to understand that it was so even scary for Moshe. When Yahweh told him what to do, he took off running. Exodus chapter 7, and we're going to read verses 10 through 12, pardon me.
And Moshe and Aaron went unto Pharaoh, and they did so as Yahweh had commanded. And Aaron cast down his rod before Pharaoh, and before his servants, and it became a serpent. Then Pharaoh also called the wise men and the sorcerers, who the magicians of Egypt. Now the magicians of Egypt, they also did in like manner with their enchantments. For they cast down every man his rod, and they became serpents. But Aaron's rod swallowed up their rods.
So at the end of the day, Yahweh has to show you who's the better magician, who's got the most power. Now, we recently read where Moshe ran from the serpent. Yahweh has to do certain things for you to get your heart ready. Because imagine if this was the first time Moshe did it and took off running in front of them. You see how that would have made him look? I got to get your heart and your mind ready for this. So Yeah, you're going to take off running right now. I don't need you to make me look stupid in front of these people. Get used to this idea. When we go in front of them, you got your courage up. All right, let's jump to chapter 8. We're going to read verses 16 through 19. So at this point, the magician is able to do whatever Moshe is doing. And this is where a lot of us are caught up at. Because the people can duplicate what we're doing, then we start swaying on our belief. And this is how we get turned. You got to think about what Geno Jennings just told his people. Don't even talk to the Hebrews. Why? Because somebody got turned. Go ahead.
Verse 16. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, say unto Aaron, stretch out thy rod, and smite the dust of the land, that it may become lice throughout all the land of Egypt. And they did so. For Aaron stretched out his hand with his rod, and smote the dust of the earth. And it became lice in man and in beasts. All the dust of the land became lice throughout the land of Egypt. And the magicians did so with their enchantments, to bring forth lice, but they could not. So there were lice upon man and upon beasts. And then the magicians said unto Pharaoh, this is the finger of Elohim. And Pharaoh's heart was hardened, and he hearkened not unto them, as Yahweh had said.
But this is where we want to stay the course. We want to stay the course long enough for them to realize, no, you might be able to duplicate some things, but you ain't going to be able to duplicate all things. They had to admit in the end, this is the hand of Yahweh. We can't do this. And that's why we got to stay the course. Yeah, you might be able to come part of the way, but I'm going to keep on this course. Because at some point, we're going to get to a point where I don't care what you believe in, it's not going to be able to stand on my spiritual source. We got to stay the course. Let's go to Daniel chapter 4. Daniel chapter 4, and we're going to start out with verses 1 through 9. Page 905.
All right. Is it 905?
Yeah, 905. Yes.
All right. Now Nebuchadnezzar, the king, unto all the people, nations, and languages that dwell in all the earth, peace be multiplied unto you. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high Elohim hath wrought towards me. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. His kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. I, Nebuchadnezzar, was at rest in mine house, and flourishing in my palace. I saw a dream which made me afraid, and the thought upon my bed, and the visions of my head troubled me.
So at this point, he's telling you, I got it going on. Everything is great. Then comes this dream. Go ahead.
Therefore made I a decree to bring in all the wise men of Babylon before me, that they might make known unto me the interpretation of the dream. Then came in the magicians, and the astrologers, and the Chaldeans, and the soothsayers, and I told the dream before them, but they did not make known unto me the interpretation thereof.
So he got everybody. All manner of spiritual wickedness. Let's go ahead and interpret this. Go ahead.
But at the last, Daniel came in before me, whose name was Belteshazzar, according to the name of my God, and in whom is the spirit of the holy gods. And before him I told the dream, saying, O Belteshazzar, master of the magicians, because I know that the spirit of the holy gods is in thee, and no secret troubleth thee, tell me the visions of my dream that I have seen, and in the interpretation thereof.
So at the end, all he did was leave the Hebrew for the last, right? Yahweh's servant comes last. But we already know what it says. The first should be last and the last should be first. Let's go to verse 17 and 18.
Verse 17. This matter is by the decree of the watchers and demand by the word of the holy ones, to the intent that the living may know that the Most High ruleth in the kingdom of men, and giveth it to whomsoever he will, and setteth up over it the basis of men. This dream I, King Nebuchadnezzar, have seen. Now though, O Belteshazzar, declare the interpretation thereof, for as much as all the wise men of my kingdom are not able to make known unto me the interpretation, but thou art able, for the spirit of the holy gods is in thee.
Now, he goes through the whole deal of telling his dream. Let's jump down to verse 34.
Verse 34. And at the end of the days, I, Nebuchadnezzar, lifted up mine eyes unto heaven, and my understanding returned unto me, and I blessed the Most High, and I praised and honored him that liveth forever, whose dominion is everlasting, an everlasting dominion, and his kingdom is from generation to generation. And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand, or say unto him, What doest thou? At the same time my reason returned unto me, and for the glory of my kingdom mine honor and brightness returned unto me, and my counselors and my lords, my adnays, sought unto me, and I was established in my kingdom in excellent majesty that added unto me. Now I, Nebuchadnezzar, praise and exalt the honor of the King of heaven, all whose works are truth, and his ways judgment, and those that walk in pride, he is able to abase.
So this is a man who was knocked down to nothing. As we can see in the beginning, he called the soothsayers, the Chaldeans, the magicians, everybody. In the end, to have to turn around and give Yahweh all the praise and glory. Yahweh knocked him down to nothing. To let him see that what you have going on can't amount to what I've got. He had to call one of Yahweh's servants. But can we stand boldly as Yahweh's servant while everybody else is exalting themselves? Daniel's in a room outnumbered. We can read into Nebuchadnezzar and see that Nebuchadnezzar had a whole lot of wickedness going on as well. But Yahweh cut him down to nothing to show him where the real power is, where the real source of life is. Read the definition for magician there for me, my brother, since he called all these people, and let's get an understanding of all these people.
Magician, H2748. Cartum, from the same as H2747. A horoscopist, as drawing magical lines or circles. Magician.
A horoscopist. Think about all them people who can't do nothing without looking at their horoscope. So if you got to check your horoscope, but yet you believe in Yahweh, do you really believe in Yahweh? Or are you dependent on something else before you make a move? I trust that Yahweh is going to guide my steps. And even when I stumble and fall, there's a lesson in that fall. If I don't stay woe is me and try to blame it on somebody else. Go to the next definition for me, my brother.
Magician, G5332.
This is the Greek definition of the same word.
Pharmakeus. From
Pharmakeus.
Pharmakeus. From
Like pharmacy.
Yeah, no.
Well, listen to the definition. Let's go ahead.
From pharmacon, drug. That is spell given, potion, a druggist, a pharmacist, or poisoner. That is by extension, a magician, sorcerer.
Okay. So when we used to watch the movies, and if you talk to the old folks back in the days when they gave you a pill, what they say, take 2 of these and call me in the morning. Because they didn't know what the hell it did. So you then gave the results. And they wrote that down. So what is it, an experiment? Jump and give me the definition for sorcerer, please.
Sorcerer, H3784, Kashef, primitive root, properly to whisper a spell, that is, to enchant or practice magic. Sorcerer, use witchcraft.
All right, let's go to soothsayer. I couldn't pass this one up here. I had to do this one for Sock. I had to do this one for Sock. I know how priests.
Soothsayer.
He loves to give his imitation of her, so I figured, hey, I might as well put her up there.
Soothsayer, H7080, Qasam, primitive root, properly to distribute, that is determined by lot or magical scroll, by implication to diviner,
divination,
divination. Oh, soothsayer, use divination.
So you got to think about how often we used to see this woman on TV. And that was directed to our people. They can't exist unless we're feeding them. Now, with all that she was doing, can anybody tell me what she died from? She died from cancer. My whole thought. She didn't see that? They got a cure for that. You should have seen that coming on and gotten the cure. You telling everybody else what their life is supposed to be like. Go to astrologer for me, please.
Astrologer.
I know you're saying it in your head right now. Go ahead, man. Say it one time.
Astrologer, H825, Ashaf, from an unused root, probably meaning to lisp, that is, practice enchantments, a conjurer, astrologer.
All right, stargazers, huh? But it goes to show you what people can use Yahweh's things to do. We might go outside and we're looking at the new moon to see where, or the moon phases to see where we're at in the month. And people are stargazing to do something else with it. Go to witchcraft for me.
Witchcraft, H3785, Kashef, from H3784, magic, sorcery, witchcraft.
Now, more and more, if you look, our people have gotten into all these things. It's not even that they've gotten into them. Our people have always been off into these things. But then you'll have somebody tell you that you don't understand what I can do or what I've seen people do. So what you're talking about over there, no. Yahweh has given people the ability to do these things. But he's the author and finisher. So I don't care how powerful your stuff is. My Elohim is more powerful than whatever you've got going on. So don't let anybody sway you or convince you that this is what our people are always off into. No, our people pick this up from other people around them. Once again, it was stated in class today. Yahweh said, I'll lead these people around you to prove you. And then what? To show you what's in your heart. So if you want to talk to me about black magic and witchcraft, then obviously Yahweh's not what's in your heart. You trying to do things your way. You're trying to bypass the law, statutes, and judgments. Which if a man do, We keep hearing about living forever. Yeah, we are going to live forever, but how are you going to live forever? Some will be in the lake of fire forever. Like Priest Esaac was talking about, looking at the fire and how nice it is to warm yourself up against it and watch the embers. But have you ever considered being in the fire? We got a joke around here about me not being close to fires, you know what I'm saying? And in all reality, I hope that is how it comes down to the end, that I escape it. Even if it's just narrowly escape it, I still want to escape it. I don't want to be in the fire. But even with that said, the fire has a purpose for the saints, for refinement, to burn off impurities. But the fire we're dealing with is the trials and tribulations. You don't have to be in the lake of fire to burn off the impurities. Once you make it in the lake of fire, there ain't no coming back out of that. Where are we going, brother?
Oh,
I've got it. 2 Chronicles chapter 33. Second Chronicles chapter 33, and we're going to read verses 1 through 19.
Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 55 years in Jerusalem, but did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, like unto the abominations of the heathen, whom Yahweh had cast out before the children of Israel.
So here's what I was talking about. What have we picked up? What was around us? What we saw? And we're still carrying those things to this very day. So when people want to tell you, oh, our people do witchcraft, our people do voodoo, our people, yes, we do. But that is not our culture. That is not what Yahweh gave us. We picked it up from the heathens around us. Go ahead.
For he built again the high places which Hezekiah his father had broken down, and reared up altars for Baalim, and made groves, and worshipped all the host of heaven, and served them.
So his father broke them down, and he built them back up. So do we want to say that Hezekiah didn't raise his child up in the right way? Or was there something else off in his heart? Or did he become envious of the heathens round about him? Go ahead.
Also, he built altars in the house of Yahweh, whereof Yahweh had said, in Jerusalem shall my name be forever.
This is where you treading on dangerous grounds. If you're going to do your mess, do it away from Yahweh's house. That even means whatever mess you carrying off in your heart. Least you bring it in Yahweh's house and make it spread, and Yahweh have to hurt you. We got to be careful what baggage we bring into Yahweh's house. If you got to bring it in, how about bring it in and lay it in front of the altar? Ask for help with getting rid of whatever baggage it is that you're carrying. Go ahead.
Verse 5. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of Yahweh. And he caused his children to pass through the fire in the valley of the sons of Hinnom. Also he observed times, and used enchantments, and used witchcraft, and dealt with familiar spirits, and with wizards. He wrought much evil in the sight of Yahweh, to provoke him to anger.
So this is nothing new for our people. But you see what it does? It provokes and brings anger to Yahweh. Go ahead.
And he set a carved image, the idol which he had made in the house of Elohim, of which Elohim had said to Dawid and Shlomo his son, in this house and in Jerusalem, which I have chosen before all the tribes of Israel, will I put my name forever. Neither will I any more remove the foot of Israel from out of the land which I have appointed for your fathers, so that they will take heed to do all that I have commanded them, according to the whole law and the statutes and the ordinance by the hand of Moshe. So Manasseh made Judah and the habitation of Jerusalem to err and to do worse than the heathen who Yahweh had destroyed from the children of Israel.
And this is another thing, how we can pick up practice from the heathen, but we do worse than the heathen. How is that possible? They taught you, but you done perfected it so well that you're doing it better than them. You got to think about when we were out in the world and we fight about one day. This December 25th. We go all out. But when you talk to the real people who understand, we sing the song and don't understand. It's what, 12 days. We go broke for one day. There's countries where they have all that time off. When we hear about holidays, when you go to Europeans and talk about holidays, it's vacation. It's common for a European from Europe to say we're going on holidays, and they're talking about going on vacation. When we hear holidays, we thinking Christmas, Thanksgiving. No, holidays means vacation time. And they will get that time off to do their 12 days and whatever else they got going on. Go ahead.
Verse 10. And Yahweh spake to Manasseh and to his people, but they would not hearken. Wherefore Yahweh brought upon them the captains of the hosts of the king of Assyria, which took Manasseh among the thrones, and bound him with fetters, and carried him to Babylon. And when he was afflicted, when he was in affliction, he besought Yahweh his Elohim, and humbled himself greatly before Elohim of his fathers, the Elohim of his fathers, and prayed unto him, and he was entreated of him, and heard his supplication, and brought him again to Jerusalem into his kingdom. Then Manasseh knew that Yahweh was his Elohim. Now after this, he built a wall without the city of Dawid, of the west side of Gihan, in the valley, even to the entering in at the fish gate, and compassing about Ophel, and raised it up a very great height, and put captains of war in all the fenced cities of Judah. And he took away the strange gods and the idol out of the house of Yahweh, and all the altars that he had built in the mount of the house of Yahweh, and in Jerusalem, and cast them out of the city. And he repaired the altar of Yahweh, and sacrificed thereon peace offerings and thank offerings, and commanded Judah to serve Yahweh Elohim of Israel. Nevertheless, the people did sacrifice still in the high places, yet unto Yahweh their Elohim only. Now the rest of the act of Manasseh, and his prayer unto his Elohim, the words of the seers that spake to him in the name of Yahweh Elohim of Israel, behold, they are written in the book of the kings of Israel. His prayer also, and how Elohim was entreated of him, and all his sin, and his trespass, and the places wherein he built high places, and set up groves and graven images, before he was humbled. Behold, they are written among the sayings of the seers.
So if we stay off in our book and get an understanding, then Yahweh won't have to humble you. This is how we keep putting and building that armor, that spiritual armor. But believe me, when he did this, there was still some people left off into that idol worship, because the king set it up. You set a precedence. So now what is off into the heart of these people that you have guided them in the wrong direction? So yeah, our people have always been into this mess. But once you hear this word, that should be the beginning of your humbling, that Yahweh is now humbling you to put you on the right path. So when do you start taking the idols down? When do you start repairing the breaches? You had a question there, my brother?
No, it's a statement. I was watching this video, and you know how this doctor guy, and this doctor was saying how, some well-educated brother, he was saying how, you know how they complain about Southern black folks saying we're uneducated, we lazy, we this, that, and the third. He said, well, those Southern black folks learned from the Southern white man on how to live their life free, because they were once slaves, so they learn how to be free from that Southern white man. So I'll just give it that point.
Okay. I mean, you got to understand, isn't that what we do? Where do you think the terminology trying to be like the Joneses come from? It's our desire to be like Master. So that's why you'll find a lot of our people fight against the knowledge, Hebrew Israelites. I was just showing Priest Esaac a video where it's a white preacher saying he hate black folks calling themselves Christians. And they don't like us saying that we Hebrew Israelites. They didn't like us being Muslims. They didn't like us being Mormons. They didn't like us being Jehovah's Witnesses. But to be honest, ain't none of them out there saying that they're Hebrew Israelites. So here we are, we're separating ourselves. Y'all keep saying go back to where you come from. But as we going back in that direction, you have a problem with it. Voodoo, a traditional Afro-Haitian religion. Voodoo represents a syncretism of the West African Voodoo religion and Roman Catholicism by the descendants of the Dahomey, Congo, Yoruba, and other ethnic groups who had been enslaved and transported to colonial Saint Dominique, as Haiti was known then, and partly Christianized by Roman Catholic missionaries in the 16th and 17th centuries. The word voodoo means spirit or deity. In the Fon language of the African kingdom of Dahomey, now Benin, voodoo is a worldview encompassing philosophy, medicine, justice, and religion. Remember earlier when we were talking about the pharmacia? Medicine, right? Okay. Its fundamental principle is that everything is spirit. Humans are spirits who inhabit the visible world. The unseen world is populated by Iwa, spirits, Misti or mysteries, Invisibi, the invisibles, Zanji, angels, and the spirits of ancestors and recently deceased. This is another thing I keep hearing our people talking about. Power to the ancestors. I'm praying to the ancestors. I started hearing that over the last few years, and I'm like, what are they talking about? So now we see what our people are getting back off into. All these spirits are believed to live in a mythic land called Genin. And it's funny that that sounds like Benin, where this stuff comes from. A cosmic Africa. The God of the Christian Bible is understood to be the creator of both the universe and the spirits. The spirits were made by God to help him govern humanity and the natural world. So if the Christian God created all these, why I need to go to them for? We were first called Christians at Antioch. So if our God, our El, is the one that created all of them, what the hell I need them for? Why don't I just go to him? But yet, he needed their help to govern the world. What was the purpose of the angels? Go ahead, my brother.
Wasn't the God and Avatar Iwa?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 28. It goes to show you how they're slowly putting all this stuff out. Like you say, his name was Ewa, right? They're putting stuff right out in our face. And we running around not understanding the spirits that are being forced our way. Now you got your kids running around talking about Ewa, Ewa, not realizing that you calling on some deity, right? 1 Samuel chapter 28, we're going to read verses 5 through 18.
And when Saul saw the host of the Philistines, he was afraid, and his heart greatly trembled. And when Saul inquired of Yahweh, Yahweh answered him not, neither by dream, nor by Urim, nor by prophets. Then said Saul unto his servants, seek me a woman that hath familiar spirit, that I may go to her and inquire of her. And his servants said to him, behold, there is a woman that hath familiar spirit.
So is this what we do? When Yahweh doesn't answer us, we run off and go find the heathen gods to answer our prayers for us? Is this what we get off into? Maybe search yourself and find out why Yahweh is not dealing with you. But what he says, our duty is to sit still. We can't sit still. Yahweh ain't answering me fast enough, so go find me somebody who deals with familiar spirits. Go ahead.
And Saul disguised himself, and put on other raiment, and he went, and 2 men with him, and they came to the woman by night. And he said, I pray thee, divine unto me by the familiar spirit, and bring me him up, whom I shall name unto thee.
Now it's funny, and Saul disguised himself. Is this a disguise from Yahweh too? Can Yahweh not see him? Mm-hmm. So while we think we disguising ourselves and getting off into a mess, just keep in mind that Yahweh still knows you. Go ahead.
And the woman said unto him, behold, thou knowest what Saul hath done, how he hath cut off those that have familiar spirits, the wizards, out of the land. Wherefore then layest thou a snare for my life, to cause me to die? And Saul sware to her by Yahweh, saying, as Yahweh liveth, there shall no punishment happen to thee for this thing. Then said the woman, whom shall I bring up unto thee? And he said, bring me up Samuel. And when the woman saw Samuel, she cried with a loud voice. And the woman spake to Saul, saying, why hast thou deceived me? For thou art Saul. And the king said unto her, be not afraid, for what sawest thou? And the woman said unto Saul, I saw gods ascending out of the earth. And he said unto her, what form is he of? And she said, an old man clothed up, cometh up, and he is covered with a mantle. And Saul perceived that it was Samuel, and he stood with his face, stooped with his face to the ground, and bowed himself. And Samuel said to Saul, why hast thou disquieted me to bring me up?
And that's what all these people going out praying for their ancestors, that's what they should show up and say, why are you bothering me? Why are you waking me up? Don't you know it's my time of rest? Leave me alone. Go ahead.
And Saul answered, I am sore distressed, for the Philistines make war against me, and Elohim has departed from me, and answereth me no more, neither by prophets nor by dreams. Therefore I have called thee, that thou mayest make known unto me what I shall do.
So he a groveling little kid. Yahweh ain't talking to me, so I came and bothered you out of your rest. I had them dig you up because Yahweh ain't talking to me. What is he supposed to do? Go ahead.
Then said Samuel, wherefore then doest thou acts of me, seeing Yahweh is departed from thee, and is become thine enemy. And Yahweh hath done to him as he spake by me. For Yahweh hath rent the kingdom out of thine hand, and given it to thy neighbor, even to Dawid.
And this is not something that he had not been told already. Samuel already told him this while he was alive. So you done woke me up from the dead for me to tell you something that I told you when I was alive. Yahweh's not with you. What you want me to do? I can't change nothing. Go ahead.
Because thou obeyest not the voice of Yahweh, nor executest his fierce wrath upon Amalek. Therefore hath Yahweh done this thing unto thee this day.
So disobedience has Yahweh not talking to you. So that's why I said when Yahweh isn't talking or we're not getting answers, examine yourself. Examine ourselves to see where we went wrong with Yahweh. Told him disobedience. But he already knew this before the man passed away. A calendar of ritual feast, syncretized with the Roman Catholic calendar, provides the yearly rhythm of religious practice. Important Iwa are celebrated on saints' days. For example, Ogo on St. James Day. I don't know when that is. But see, I'm sure some European can tell you when St. James Day is. July 25th. Okay, there you go. Esaac Danto on the feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. Esaac Danto on the feast of Our Lady of Mount Carmel. July 16th. Danbala on St. Patrick's Day. March 17th. And the spirits of the ancestors on All Saints' Day and All Souls' Day, November 1st and November 2nd. Many other familial feasts for the sacred children, for the poor, for the peculiar ancestors, as well as initiations and the funerary rituals occur throughout the year. So a lot of times we get off into stuff on these days and we don't really know what's going on. But we just like to be a part of everything. Let's go to Acts chapter 8. Acts chapter 8, and we're going to begin at verse 9.
Acts chapter 8.
Yes.
Verse 9.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But there was a certain man called Simeon, which before time in the same city used sorcery, and bewitched the people of Samaria, giving out that himself was some great one.
Understand, who are the Samaritans? Israel, right? Okay. So that means Simeon is what? Of Israel. And he's bewitching the people. Okay, go ahead.
To whom they all gave heed, from the least to the greatest, saying, This man is the great power of Elohim. And to him they had regard, because that of long time he had bewitched them with sorceries.
So we got an Israelite in Israel bewitching the people with sorceries. But we just read where Saul was killing folks for familiar spirits. Here we are in the New Testament, and our people are still off into this mess. So do we not think that that stuff has traveled here with us to the new world? Go ahead.
But when they believed Philip, preaching the things concerning the kingdom of Elohim, in the name of Yeshua HaMashiach, they were baptized, both men and women. Then Simeon himself believed also, and when he was baptized, he continued with Philip, and wondered, beholding the miracles and signs which were done. Now when the apostle, which were in Jerusalem, heard that Samaria had received the word of Elohim, they sent unto them Peter and Johanan. But when they were come down, praying for them, that they might receive the Holy Ghost, for he was fallen upon none of them, only they were baptized in the name of the Adonai Yeshua. Then laid they their hands on them, and they received the Holy Ghost. And when Simeon saw that through laying on the apostles' hands the Holy Ghost was given, he offered them money.
Now, when you go back to verse 13, then Simeon himself believed also, and when he was baptized, he continued with Philip and wondered, beholding the miracles and signs which were done. So even though he got baptized, there still was a kind of a hook pulling him, because he was wondering what's going on. So wholeheartedly, he was not on this walk. He still had his own snare going on. Go ahead.
Saying, give me also this power, that on whosoever I lay hands, he may receive the Holy Ghost. But Simeon said unto him, Cephas, said unto him, thy money perish with thee, because thou hast thought that the gift of Elohim may be purchased with money. Thou hast neither part nor lot in this matter, for thy heart is not right in thy sight of Elohim.
And this is what we went over today. Your heart. Where's your heart at? But do we have the strength and courage to tell somebody your heart is not right when we see you off into mess? Go ahead.
Repent therefore of this thy wickedness, and pray Elohim, if perhaps the thought of thine heart may be forgiven thee. For I perceive that thou art in the gall of bitterness, and in the bond of iniquity. Then answered Simeon, and said, Pray ye to the Adonai for me, that none of these things which ye have spoken come upon me.
At this point, he knows his heart is not in the right place. He's taking acknowledgement. And I can't even pray for myself. Can we also be honest with ourselves when we are in that position? I'm not in the right place. Can you pray for me? I've called on brothers to pray on the Sabbath, open in prayer. My brother said, no, man, not today. I respect that. If you know you're not in the right place, I'm not going to be mad at you. But you've got to be honest with yourself and then be honest with me. And I'll find somebody else to do it. This is how we help each other along on the journey. By being honest with one another. Knowing when you're not in that right spiritual place. Let's go to Psalms chapter 27.
Yahweh is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? Yahweh is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even mine enemies, and my foes, come upon me to eat of my flesh, they stumble and fell. Though an host shall encompass against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war shall rise against me, in this will I be confident. One thing have I desired of Yahweh, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of Yahweh all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of Yahweh and to inquire of his temple.
So this is the prize at the end of the road. Go ahead.
For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion, in the secret of the tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall my head be lifted up above mine enemies around about me. Therefore I will offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of joy. I will sing, yea, I will sing praises unto Yahweh. Hear, O Yahweh, when I cry with my voice. Have mercy also upon me and answer me. When thou saidest, seek ye my face, my heart said unto thee, thy face, Yahweh, I will seek. Hide not thy face far from me. Put not thy servant away in anger. Thou hast been my help. Leave me not, neither forsake me, O Elohim of my salvation. When my father and my mother forsake me, then Yahweh will take me up. Teach me thy way, O Yahweh, and lead me in the plain path, because of mine enemies. Deliver me not over unto the will of mine enemies, for false witnesses are risen up against me, and such as brethren breathe out cruelty. I had fainted unless I had believed to see the goodness of Yahweh in the land of the living. Wait on Yahweh, be of good courage, and he shall strengthen thine heart. Wait, I say, on Yahweh.
From the onset of the developing of the nation of Israel, there was the worshiping of other gods in our midst. Abraham is the father of our nation, and the father of our father Abraham, Terah, worshipped idols, which is something that Abraham was familiar with. But once he was set on the path to salvation, he left those things behind. Pharaoh's magicians admitted defeat at the hand of Yahweh. Exodus chapter 8 and verse 19. The king of Assyria had to seek out a priest to teach the heathens the ways of Yahweh so they could live in the cities of Samaria. 2 Kings chapter 17 verses 24 through 27. The Philistines called for priests and diviners on whom to entreat the El of Israel when plagued with hemorrhoids. 1 Samuel chapter 6 verses 1 through 6. These are all nations who worship other gods. But yet, they knew in the end, when push came to shove, Yahweh is the ultimate. So why would I need to deal with anything else? Even the heathens who we learned other spiritual practices from still have to come to Yahweh in the end. Why would I care about voodoo, witchcraft, or any of this other stuff? When your own people showed me that in the end, my God is greater than what you got going on. Let's go to Luke chapter 12. Luke chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 4 through 5. This is the last bit of scripture for the evening.
Verse 4. And I say unto you, my friends, be not afraid of them that kill the body, and after that have no more that they can do. But I will forewarn you whom ye shall fear. Fear him which after he hath killed hath power to cast into hell. Yea, I say unto you, fear him.
Fear Yahweh and live. That's it for this evening, family. Shalom.
Shalom.